Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whenever you're listening to this. Welcome to the History Podcast. Welcome, everyone. How are we all doing today?
I'm pleasant. How about you, Brooke?
I'm good. What about you, Bryson? How have the waves been?
The surf has been actually really gnarly. I've been surfing a lot because of this horrible pandemic.
Oh, yeah, we're in a pandemic, right? How's y'all's quarantine been?
It's been alright so far.
It's been terrible. It kind of reminds me of the Spanish flu from way back when.
That's the one in the 1920s, right?
The Roaring 20s, I think. It was crazy.
Yeah, the Spanish flu was crazy. It infected 500 million people, and around 40 million of them died.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow,
Sheesh.
dude. That sounds horrible.
Yeah, Brooke, but how does this relate to the current situation we're in?
Well, they both originated in China, and they
Okay.
both killed millions of people.
Yeah.
Wow. That can't be all.
Yeah, really?
No, there's more. They both lasted at least a year, and they both used a form of a mask.
Okay, fair enough. Now, were there any differences?
Yeah, there were differences. For example,
Mm.
they called the masks muzzles, germ
Mhm.
shields, and dirt traps in the 1920s. Also, as of now, the Spanish flu has taken more lives than COVID 19,
Oh.
but there were so many less restrictions back then.
Okay.
Wow. I get it now.
Yeah. And speaking of the Roaring 20s, do you understand how important that time period was?
Yeah, it was pretty important.
It was a time of the surging economy, the rise of consumerism, unjust racism, and many renaissances, and plenty more things.
Okay, so I heard Bryson say the Roaring 20s earlier, but I'm not sure exactly why you used that term.
I used the Roaring 20s because of the popular culture of the decade. It was a time when many people defied prohibition and indulged in new styles of dancing and dressing.
Many people at the time even rejected many traditional moral standards.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Yeah, in the 1920s, it was a very hectic but important time. I read an article the other day, and it said that America's economy grew by 42% in the
Wow.
Roaring 20s.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
It's a lot.
During this time, many new businesses and jobs were created.
Wasn't CVS founded in like the 1920s too?
Yeah, and I think Disney, Radio Shack, and Burlington were too.
Oh, wow. I'm a really big fan of Disney.
Yeah, so many people began to have enough money to buy all kinds of new products.
Yeah, many Americans continue to buy products and goods in outrageous numbers.
What kind of products?
Products like automobiles, washing machines, sewing machines, radios, and many more.
Were there any new types of technologies that were like created at this time?
Yeah.
Because like we have technology now, like Teslas and 5G network.
It was a lot simpler in the 1920s. It also brought us the traffic light, which helped traffic flow a lot better and a lot safer.
Really? That was a long time ago.
Of course, they also invented the vacuum cleaner. They've both been around for a while.
Okay, let's get back to economics. As America continued to buy products, many new kinds of jobs were created and wages also increased.
Wait, do you know what the minimum wage was back then in California?
In California back then, it was probably like 33 cents legally.
Oh wow. The minimum wage in California now is like around $13.
That sounds right, but Bryson, you're working now, right?
Of course, yeah, I have a job. I got paid the other day, but I'm pretty sure the minimum wage in California is $12 an hour.
Close enough.
Well, just look at that difference.
Wow, that is a big difference.
Well, back then, I think the minimum wage was all right pay. This strong economy helped create the right environment for many important changes in the day-to-day social life of the American people.
That's right, like what you mentioned earlier. Washing machines played a part in helping women gain more freedom to express themselves.
Oh, yeah, that did improve women's social lives a lot.
Yeah, this helped women finally move out of the stereotypical house and express their new lifestyles.
And they started showing more skin.
Also, in the 1920s, they got the ability to vote.
But the Roaring 20s wasn't the best decade, and there were still a lot of problems.
Oh.
All of this was a step in the right direction, but women were still treated unfairly.
Could you give me some examples?
Yeah.
They were objectified, had an income gap, and had double standards in the 1920s, but unfortunately, this still happens today.
Oh, that's so terrible to hear.
Oh, immigrants and African Americans were also treated unfairly during this time.
Like what, Andre?
Well, there was this thing called nativism, which was a policy favoring native inhabitants over immigrants.
what does that affect, Andre?
Yeah.
Well, this caused tensions between religions, ethnicities, and cultures because native inhabitants protected their own ideas over the immigrants' ideas.
Okay, that makes sense.
The KKK also suddenly rose in the 1920s, and they operated in this time openly. They used violence and fear to protect white supremacy, along with harsh racism.
Andre, is the KKK still around today?
To be honest, I don't really know, but like, there's a chance. But racism is still around today, as you
Yeah.
can see.
For sure.
It's terrible. Have you seen the news lately?
Yeah, I've seen the riots. They've been quite wild. They're all fighting for injustice.
Mm-hmm.
These riots, are there any positives about this?
Oh yeah, for example, the Harlem Renaissance. It took place in the 1920s, and it was the face of the 1920s.
What exactly was the Harlem Renaissance?
Oh, it was a revival of the African American art and literature.
Like jazz?
Exactly. In this time, black culture was celebrated.
Well, okay. That's all the time we have for today. Tune in next time as we dive into Black Tuesday, also known as the Wall Street crash in 1929, as it affects the whole next decade.
All right, that's all. Have a good day. Or not. The choice is yours. Bye.
朝をむさぼり夜を吐き出し悲観とする我がさが湧き立つこの感情は白か黒か目指す未来と置いてけぼりにしてきた過去ねじれながらぐるぐるとつながっている過ぎゆくらせに目を覚めて不思議な夢から